Diamond 88.7 FM is here to make sense out of your world through our balanced news coverage from the nooks and crannies of Nigeria and beyond. Journey with us through the news we tracked for you at this moment on your shining supreme station.
You're listening to Diamond 88.7 FM, shining supreme.
Shine bright like a diamond.
It's 1 minute gone past 9 a.m. Good morning and thank you for joining us on today's edition of News Punch and Diamond 88.7 FM in Lorry, where we bring you the trend and stories across the globe. My name is Mekamua Osigbodi. Here are the stories making waves across the world. The Presidential Campaign Council, PCC, of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, says it has commenced a legal process to disqualify the presidential candidate of the All Progressive Congress, APC, Bola Tinubu, from contesting the 2023 presidential election. The spokesperson for the PDP Campaign Council, Kola Ologbodi, yesterday told journalists at a press conference in Abuja that the party is in court to ask for the disqualification of the APC candidate over allegations bordering on conviction for trafficking narcotics in the United States. The PDP is also asking the court to compel the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to immediately delist Bola Tinubu as presidential candidate of the APC or any other political party. Reacting to PDP's allegation, a spokesperson for the All Progressive Congress Presidential Campaign Council, APC, PPC, Femi Fani-Kayode, has faulted the People's Democratic Party, PDP, for its suit challenging the candidacy of APC's Bola Tinubu in the February 25th presidential elections. The PDP had approached the court seeking Tinubu's disqualification over allegations bordering on conviction for trafficking narcotics in the United States. Fani-Kayode, who made a live appearance on Channels Television Politics today later in the day, described the claims as baseless. On the international scene, suspected Allied Democratic Forces fighters have killed at least 23 people in eastern DR Congo. Local officials yesterday said this in the latest violence in the turbulent region claimed by the Islamic State group. The attack occurred overnight on Sunday in the village of Makugwe in the Beni area of North Kivu province, said local civil society figure Roger Wangeve, who put the death toll at 24. A Congolese army spokesman in the region put the death toll at 24, with 10 people missing. In the exciting world of sport, Tyrone Ebuhi was in action for Empoli and had a good account of himself in his side's 1-0 win at 10-man Inter Milan yesterday night. Ebuhi helped Empoli claim a first Serie A win at Inter since 18 January 2004. The Super Eagles star, who played for 90 minutes, made 80% pass accuracy, one key pass, and one big chance created. The win took Empoli up to 9th place on 25 points, while Inter third on 37 points, and 13 points adrift of leaders, Napoli. That's all we have for you on this edition of News Punch. Up next is the Diamond Breakfast Show, where we bring you analysis of the stories. Do stay tuned.
You're listening to Diamond 88.7 FM, shining supreme.
Shine bright like a diamond.
The major talking point in Nigeria are always on the lips of the citizens.
What's going on in this country? Look at smaller countries taking lead, and you call yourself giant of Africa. Yeah.
Nigeria don't spoil my business too much. Nigeria is too hard for us. I mean, I want to kill us. Father, not kill us for Nigeria. Oh, please, help us beg them.
They should reduce their expenditure so that they can free enough money for social development.
I wish for a Nigeria where we elect a leader based on competency and not popularity.
On the Diamond Breakfast Show, we place the spotlight on the critical issues in the country.
Government that says they are broke can prioritize construction of an additional runway over education of the people.
How can a government, how can you hold in domain? This is intolerable. It's provocative.
Now, you see, when you look at our democratic journey, we are yet to practice genuine democratic system in Nigeria.
Join us on Mondays to Friday on the DBS from 9 to 10 a.m. The Diamond Breakfast Show, amplifying the voice of the people. From the studios of Diamond 88.7 FM in Ilorin, this is the Diamond Breakfast Show.
It's 6 minutes after 9 a.m. on a fantastic Tuesday morning. Welcome to the Diamond Breakfast Show. This is Diamond 88.7 FM, your shining supreme station. For today, we have lots of conversations to have. So let's get straight into the analysis of some of the major stories from the week. But before we go on, we have a breaking news. Now, the road leading to the University of Ilorin Teaching Hospital before Onyun Bridge is completely blocked. We therefore ask law enforcement agency and agents to kindly help rescue the situation and help, as there are passengers and citizens who need proper attention quickly, and there is no way because the road is blocked. So we ask that you kindly get involved and make things better. Thank you so much. So while we go in straight into the conversation for this morning, we have in the studio with me Mr. Sakariao Lawal Abiodun Yita, who is an educationist, historian, and public affairs analyst in the studio. He's currently the head of History Department, Kwara State College of Education. Great to have you in the studio, sir. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning. Thank you. Good morning, Nigerians.
Such a delight to have you, by the way. So just before we get into the conversation for today, how are you faring, sir? And how are you bracing up for the coming election?
I don't know about even the coming elections. The town is not that palatable with this issue of fuel thing here and there. You need to struggle to get fuel. You need to struggle even though you are not going out with your cars. And even for the roads across the metropole as a result of this urban renewal project of the state government. It's a laudable program, but you know, at least where there is construction everywhere, you find it difficult to get some alternative roads to do these things. So it makes things so hectic. When you leave your house today, before you know they are working on this road, they are working on that road. I want to implore the state government and the Ministry of Works to please quicken these their projects so that even some of us who are applying this road will not experience a lot of this traffic thing here and there, both in the morning and evening. They are doing a good job, but it's too slow for at least safety of people and what have you. Thank you.
All right. So while we get into the first story for tonight, bear in mind that we're live on Facebook, Diamond 887 FM. Be sure to be a part of the conversation by dropping a comment on the comment section, and YouTube Diamond FM Ilorin. Same the comment section. Be a part of the conversations. You could also tweet at us on Twitter at Diamond 887 FM or use the hashtag Diamond Breakfast Show. Now for the first story for today, scores of international passengers at the Murtala Mohammed International Airport in Lagos were stranded as ground handlers of the Nigerian Aviation Handling Company NACO embarked on industrial action. Now the protesting ground handlers were asking for increased salaries and other improved welfare conditions. NACO had reportedly gone to court and obtained an injunction stopping the workers from embarking on strike. Now less than 3 hours after the strike commenced, the Chairman House of Representatives Committee on Aviation, Honorable Nolim Naji, called for immediate restraints over the ongoing industrial dispute between the Nigerian Aviation Handling Company NACO and its workers. He asked the management of the ground handling company to immediately enter into dialogue with the leadership of the union to avert further disruption of flight operations across the country. Honorable Naji equally appealed to the union to douse its agitation and show concern for the pains the action would bring on innocent Nigerians traveling both locally and internationally. However, the ASU strike, which started on the 14th of February, was conditionally suspended on the 14th of October. It took the chamber 7 months to fully interfere in the conversation, but in just 2 hours, we saw different reactions from constituted authorities. Could we then say education is never a priority to our lawmakers? Now, before we talk about the complex intrigues in this conversation, another strike action by an important workers group every year, every action. Is Buhari's government different from the past administration compared to what was actually promised us?
You see, when you look at this issue, there are many ways you can at least dissect it. One of it is that is the aviation sector more important than the education sector? If you want us to compare, it's not about being important here. It's about what are the services they are rendering at a particular time. You know, there are something that we know to be immediate. There are some that are intermediate. There are not some that are long-term something. You see, investment in education cannot be even compared with that of aviation. You see, when people have to move from one part of the country to the other, and this thing is being hampered, there is no how anybody can cross their leg and continue to watch that situation degenerating. I don't want to subscribe to some opinion that they think maybe because those who were affected were more of the upper class or high class, so to say, that maybe it's because of the university education is for the downtrodden. No, shouldn't be. Those that are traveling are not all of them the high class people, but there are some of them that have to travel in order to handle one or two very, very important things, sensitive to life, sensitive to the general welfare of the country and what have you. When we talk of traveling or movement in terms of transportation, you cannot just say there is a particular section of the people that are affected. Maybe that is why they react. I don't want to see it from that angle. I want to see that Nigerians who want to travel or who want to move out from one part of the country to the other to perform one business or the other or handle one issue or the other were stranded. Just the one you have just said now as a breaking news that after the Onion preach now, the movement has been hampered. So it's also the same thing in my own opinion that, okay, allow those that have issues with traveling because they are not involved, they are not concerned. Those aviation handling company, I think it's a business something that between their company and what have you, they should not it shouldn't degenerate to the extent that they will now strike in such a way that it will affect the movement. The company that actually is at least not doing what is expected should be queried, and then even the aviation minister and the aviation ministry, or whether FAN or other agencies or NAMA that were part of this airport regulatory body, should have bring that company into a kind of query, probing. Why? Because they know they are handling sensitive issues. Why would they allow their workers to go on strike? Why would they?
Now, in their defense, they've gone to court already, and the court has stopped the workers from going on strike.
Why do they now have to go on strike?
Well, because their requests have not been granted. You see, at the end of the day, it's a case of different priorities here. The workers want their demands answered, but the court, according to the company who has gone to court, they have given them the right not to go on strike. And so at that place, they have contradicting opinions there.
You see, in all aspects of our life in this country, we lack sincerity. The company that went to the court maybe want to find a way of courting what they want, the workers want to do, or their request, they don't want to meet that demand. That's why they say, okay, let us go to court. And an average Nigerian, although the judiciary, I don't want to pass a negative comment to them, because it takes a long time before the grant of the law. It grants slowly, but it may take a very long time before they get justice. Maybe that is why they believe they can go on fire brigade approach. I still want to say that company It shouldn't be the issue of law is one of it. There should be other political solutions to their problem. That is the way I want to. Let's now go to the second aspect, which is the issue of ASU. We plays a kind of little premium on public education in Nigeria. Public education, what I mean is that all those schools being run by the government are what I refer to as the public education, from the primary school to the university level. Because of one thing, we believe that these education institutions, they have alternatives. That is, there are private institutions that are performing similar functions to those ones. That is one. Whereas under this aviation handling, I don't think they have alternative now. If they have alternative for private airports and what have you, they wouldn't have that kind of effect on Nigeria. Meanwhile, having this education, what we are saying here is that education is under concurrent legislative list. And when we mean concurrent legislative list, government can participate, can invest in it. Individual can participate and invest in it. NGOs and what have you can participate and invest in it. And as a result of that, the role of the government, which is the primary function of the government, is to invest in the education of the citizen. That role is being jettisoned gradually. And that's what degenerated into the issue of ASU. Now going on for this, and they don't even think. I want to say, maybe, quote and unquote, the children of the haves or the bourgeois were not in that university as per se. That's why they borderless. And at the same time, I see a kind of personality rift between the Ministry of Labor, Ministry of Education, and that of ASU. It is no more, to me, it is no more a nationalistic issue. It's a kind of a personality rift between the ministers involved and the ASU on the other side. So when we compare the two, we will see that deliberately or unconsciously, Nigerian government is playing down on the public education. However, this aviation thing has no alternative for now. That's why you see that kind of sharp reactions. However, I want that company again that is handling this aviation to make sure they put together a kind of all the necessary machineries required in order not to allow that thing to occur. At the same time, I want to appreciate the chairman house committee on aviation that has actually come up in this and try to resolve, come to put a kind of stop into this so that average Nigeria will not suffer. Because when you look at something yesterday on the television, when I watch the passengers stranded, you have sympathy for them. It's different from as you go on strike when everybody will go home. You have arranged your luggages, you get to the point where you are to traveling, and you are to travel, and you are stranded. You can't go back home. What you want to do is at stake, and you are at the borderline. It's a case of hopeless thing. It will affect you psychologically, it will affect you physically, even composition you may not compose. And there are some of them that need to move as fast as possible to where they are going. Otherwise, if they are not there, those things will not move.
So it's safe to draw conclusions from what you've said now that the reason why the reactions to both cases were different is because, first, for the aviation sector, there's no alternative.
For now.
But for education, we have the private sectors
that are performing similar.
Which brings my next question. Key constituted authorities were absent for months in the strike action. And you spoke about the personalities of our public officials. Are our elective officers proactive in their expected duties?
Well, you see, when you look at some of them, one thing with this Nigeria is that we are running a presidential system of government where you have separation of power, at the same time the rule of law and whatever. You see, the judiciary has their own roles to make law, to carry out oversight functions, and at the same time to this issue of money bills, budgeting, and what have you. A part of their oversight function is this what you see this aviation house committee chairman is trying to do. So when the oversight function, that is the ministry or agencies that fall within their own control, there is a way they control their exercises. However, you seems not to see much of their activities until when the worst happened. They have been doing underground. You see, that's why they carry out oversight functions in many ministries, agencies, these MDAs and what have you. But when these emergency cases now come up, that is when Nigeria will now think, why do they now talk? They've been talking before. It's only when we have the issues of a national importance that has attracted people's attention, they will now know. If not today, who knows this? House of Representatives in Nigeria happen to be the aviation. But because of what happens now,
if you say that our public officials are actually addressing these issues, then wherein lies the problem in the execution? Because if they say these things and we still have the same problem that you say they talk about, then where is the problem?
The problem is the coordinating center. We are alive here when the House of Representatives, the senators will be summoning, asking some of these from the MDAs, the leader of these public officials to appear, and some of them will not go, and nothing will happen. It's at the coordinating center. If there is a punitive measure that we invited you to the floor and you refuse to, and the next day that person is fired, every other person will sit up. But in a situation where they will be invited and they will think that at the end of the day they will be looking for political solutions. Here in this country, somebody is before the House of Representative Committee, he's being probed, and before you know it, they stage a drama, and the person has collapsed. And that thing doesn't see the light of the day today, NDDC issue. Where when they will invite this, they will not go. When they will invite that, they will give excuses and what have you. Some will even go to court and collect injunction that they will not honor that kind of invitation. Although we may look at it that there are some other sharp practices that may even be between the legislature and those that were, but that's not the issue. When they were invited, let them show up. We also, at the end of the day, we used to see some videos where some people will even challenge these lawmakers themselves. That so time you do this and so time you do this. We are alive to the issue of Bamidele now. When somebody approached him that no, he's having a kind of he doesn't have a kind of trust in his, and Bamidele said no, as a result of this he's leaving the thing, so another person should take over. It's not that they have not been doing their job, but because there is no discipline, the coordinating center has not been able to bring up those who are to be incarcerate or who pay lesser attention to their job. Then those ones will be, how many here have you seen that a particular person has been sacked from the MDAs, whether it's a minister, whether it's the DG, whether it's anything, that actually refused to do something and was sacked? Except when the issue of cases of fraud now comes, that you now see the EFCC or ICPC blowing that kind of thing, they will say the person should step aside. As far as I'm concerned, this government has not been able to be so tough in terms of putting these leaders of these public officers, especially in the MDAs, on their toes, because they know they will get away with it. They will find the political solutions. That's why. So the public officers, when we look at it, you talk of those that we are elected, the elected ones, and the non-elected ones, the appointed. How are the appointed respecting the elective? How are the electives themselves respecting themselves? Because there are two different things. If you want the appointed to respect the elective, are the electives themselves respect themselves? Because if you are to be sending a card for the contract, if you have been lobbied for them, who paid the piper? Dictate the tune. However, those ones now see that at the end of the day, you will come to my table and come and so if they invite them, they usually misbehave. However, that does not mean the coordinating center, either the office of the secretary to the government of the federation or the presidency, has not been able to put them on their toes. And I know there was a time that the speaker even were frustrated that this time around, if all these people were invited did not show up, I think they have to see the president to do something on them before some of them start.
Beyond the representatives of public offices, you're saying that there needs to be more checks and balance for people in government.
There should be. When they have synergy, that check and balances should be there in such a way that somebody will know at so time is responsible to do this in the collective interest of Nigeria, so as to at least make sure the welfare of an average Nigeria is not compromised. So that is the area I'm looking at it.
Now let's go back to the conversation about NACO and ASU strike. Now, talking more on that, we saw reactions by the House of Representatives regarding NACO strike, and I love the fact that you emphasize on the fact that this was because there is no alternative to that segment. But how do we then make education a top priority in the country, as we have seen the essence and profit it is when we pay proper attention to education in the country? How then, as a nation, do we move forward, every stakeholder involved, to make education a priority?
Well, you see, when you hear Nigeria every year, they turn out budgets, so things, so percentage, education percentage. To me, I see it more of a book thing, because we are not ready to invest in education to prepare this country, at least to move up to the this advanced world level or global standard. Why will I say this? The government that claim to invest in education and at the same time downplaying those that are stakeholders in that education, maybe because they are employers of the government. How? When a particular budget is being given to federal universities, let me take that in for example, how much is it devoted for research? Those researches that have been carried on in these universities, how have they been able to at least implement them, both the sciences and the non-sciences? And then there's what we call STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. These are the areas the government think they are focusing on. How much have they been able to invest in this STEM, even though they say they prefer them against the hard subjects? However, even downplaying the art as well as not helping our psyche as a Nigeria. How? Because if you say you know everything and you are not patriotic about it, then it's zero. And it is only in the realms of the arts and humanities that the issue of patriotism, issue of having consciousness, ready to serve whatever you have, giving back to the society, the issue of social contract theory were being taken care of. So automatically, we are not ready. As far as I'm concerned, the government may be paying, may be budgeting, but it's more of a lip services. Investment in education goes beyond I give you 10 million today, I give you 20 million tomorrow. How did you plan to bring up this public education to the global standard? In terms of human development, those that are working in these tertiary institutions, how are their welfares? In terms of facilities, how are they facilitated in terms of good offices, giving them the laboratory, the language laboratories and what have you? How have you invested in this? So you can't be saying you are budgeting, and this your budget, you didn't do some follow-up to know what they are doing. And that kind of institution can be at home for close to 1 year, and you think all is well. As far as I'm concerned, the government needs to do more in terms of that. And let me tell you, I think the other time, sometimes 2021 or so, in the Kwara State University, there's this professor Falola that were invited to come and give a public lecture. He told us categorically there that this curriculum being used in Nigeria today is curriculum that have been designed as far back as the Second World War period. Second World War period, we are talking of between 1945 and 1960. That was the syllabus we are still parading today. That the world has moved beyond that. And let me tell you, the first national conference, curriculum conference held in Nigeria was 1969. Where they now say, let us bring all the people together, this is what we want, this is how we want our education to be. After then, there has been other curriculum conference, but we have not come in terms of how can we move according to the global standard. When Nigeria is still crawling, other people have been exploring what? Spaces, Africa, and worshiping nature. The other Europe and other Asian world are now studying the nature, at least to convert the nature to a utility of man. You can see the two.
So educationally, Nigeria is way back.
It's way back. It has not been moving according to the global standard. Where we are still using chalk and board in our school, and you think we are at par? No. Where our children are still sitting under the tree in some villages, And government claim they are investing in that kind of education, where our children have not been able to explore the technology in terms of ICT. And we are claiming if anybody wants to say they want to invest now, then we'll give them computer. Which computer? You are giving us this desktop computer that has no more in use even in advanced world for decades. And somebody is saying he's investing in education, where people are going on tab now, where education has become faceless. We have what called synchronization, asynchronization system that has been coming up. And somebody will be telling us Nigeria is moving.
Well, we could go on and on about the conversation on education, but we need to pay the bills right now. This is the Diamond Breakfast Show. We'll be back.
Diamond FM, your one-stop dial.
Man knows Nigeria, understands the people, and knows how to get Nigeria back on the road to growth. His capacity to navigate numerous industries towards growth and expansion is tested and trusted. No one needs to show Atiku Abubakar how to move Nigeria forward through challenges and onto greatness. He already has a sure plan, a strategist in entrepreneur and job creator. Atiku Abubakar knows Nigeria, knows our people, and knows the world. Atiku for sure. PDP! Sponsored by the Atiku Okowa Organizing for Action.
This is our promise. We've made up our minds to do something new, something different, do more, do the impossible, do better, do big, do good, do it again and again and again. Do what no one else has done with radio. This is our promise at Diamond FM. Diamond 88.7 FM, shining supreme.
This is the Diamond Breakfast Show on your shining supreme station, Diamond 88.7 FM. My name is Mekamua Osigbodi, and I'm joined in the studio by Mr. Sakariel Lawal Abiodun Yita, who is an educationist, historian, and public affairs analyst. He's also currently the head of history department, Kwara State College of Education. Once again, it's such a delight to have you in the studio.
Thank you very
Well,
much.
we're 32 minutes into the conversation already, which means we need to delve straight into the second story for today. But bear in mind that you could be a part of the conversation by joining us on Facebook, Diamond 887 FM, and on YouTube, Diamond FM Ilorin. Join the conversation by dropping the comment in the comment section. You could also send a message via WhatsApp to 0913 655 6864. At the appropriate time, we'll open up the phone line so you could be a part of the conversation too via calls. Now, for the second story for today, the People's Democratic Party (PDP) internal crisis took a new dimension on Friday. The National Working Committee of the People's Democratic Party wielded a big stick against some party members for alleged anti-party activities. And it also announced the dissolution of the Ekiti State Executive Committee and the setting up of a caretaker committee to oversee the day-to-day running of party affairs in the state. Senator Chimaroke Nnamani from Enugu State and Chief Chris Ogbo of Imo State were key figures of the Southeast that felt the wrath of the working committee. The NWC also approved the suspension of the underlisted party members in Ekiti State, with former Governor Ayodele Fayose leading the list of suspended members. Now, to prove the suspicion, Senator Chimaroke Nnamani switched his allegiance and promised to support All Progressive Congress presidential candidate Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. He gave the support on his verified Twitter account. Many criticized the decision of the National Working Committee of the PDP for sacking some of its members. Now, with the recent support by the Senator Chimaroke Nnamani, is the PDP vindicated for making such a bold decision?
Well, you see, when you look at the party politics in this country, it's somehow ridiculous at times. It's interesting. Why will I say that is that those that are manning the affairs of the party themselves don't have the national interest first at as their watchword. That's the one. Those that are calling themselves member are also out to have what we call the national cake in whatever format. get what you want at whatever form. It's not peculiar to only PDP. We don't, as at now, I'm not sure the major political parties are those ones that can actually lead us to where we are going. However, it's a process. We can see that there have been some imagine, reimagine, at the same time transformation of these party things. When I say that, imagine when we have the APC, it's a kind of party that has been bringing up a kind of amalgamated thing before they come up. That is emerging party. When I say emerging, is when you see that it's something that like imagine. The imagine is like that of when PDP now think that they have to at least reawaken their own ideology and what have you. They are now playing. So we now have some other transformation. Out of this transformation is what you now see: cross-carpeting, suspension, and what have you. All are politicking, just to make sure they have their way at the polls. But to an average Nigeria that is looking, or to us that we are following the trend, we are not seeing it being healthy for a party at opposition side sacking their members or expelling their members or suspending their members at this critical time. Is not healthy. They may have their own calculation and they may want to see that yes, they want to be in control of their party, but they must know every politics is local. One, and at the same time, sacking them at this thing will not, I still want to maintain, will not help the party if they really mean business of unseating the incumbent.
It will not help the party in what way? Because they feel like already, for example, Senator Chimaroke Nnamani has shown where his loyalty clearly lies now.
Then are they now trying to compromise? Let me tell you, sacking a whole executive like that of Ekiti State, who are they bringing up that will solve that problem for them? Who are they bringing up in Enugu that can have that status in Chimaroke Nnamani there that will deliver that state for them? That's why I say every politics is local. And you can't continue. You see, politics is not a kind of do or die game or game of enmity. There are some interests that these people are asking for. Why can't you come to a round table and chart a course or a midway course? There's always a kind of a compromise in anything as far as politics is concerned. If by now they are now trying to sack their member, and let me tell you, every single voters matters as far as this election is concerned. The olden days issue of this election manipulation, election what have you, is fading off. The INEC has been trying to standardize the election in such a way that those that actually go to the polls, their vote will count. And when that is done, and you are now sacking those that are manning a particular structure of your party, then putting up a caretaker committee some days to the election, when are they going to settle down? When are they going to settle down for mobilization? Let me tell you, the issue of political mobilization is not a 24-hour thing. No. It should be a gradual process that you have been familiarizing. And you know, when they are putting up a structure like this, so the caretaker committee, the executive they sack now, many of those ones are opinion leaders in their various local governments and where they come from. And you think their people are happy? Or you think when you now put up the caretaker committee, they will now do the job like a magic?
Now, many allege that he has been working underground for the APC.
Now they have given him the ticket. They go and work with them.
Now, does the action of the G5, however, recent actions of the G5, does it prove that we may see the biggest of all defections from before the election?
Well, I may not say defection. You see, some of these G5 governors may have issues with the presidency. But, for presidential thing. But the other offices they are contesting for, they have the senators that are from these governors in that their party as a PDP party. They have PDP senators who are loyal to these governors that are are going to be voted for the same day the president will have his vote. They have House of Assembly and House of Representatives. Remember 3 elections were going to hold, to come up that day. Presidential election, senators, and then House of Representatives. If they did not go with the president, remember they have senators. Remember they have House of Reps who are loyal to this governor. So the issue of defection, I don't foresee it now. But I only see a way in such a way that they will be working against, or they may not be in support of the president, but in their own localities, those that are loyal to them, that they are. I think the giver governors have been campaigning under the canopy of PDP now.
Now let's talk about that. For a party like PDP, such crisis, how consequential is this crisis to the party? Is this a walkover for another party? Now we're going to analyze this 2 ways: how it affects the party and also the public. But let's start with the party. Is this a walkover for another party, the opposition? Does this internal crisis affect the result they are going to get?
Well, I don't know how they want to go about it. But let me tell you, in the year 2002 or 2003 thereafter, when the AD then, Alliance for Democracy, said they are not going to float any presidential candidate against General Olusegun Obasanjo then, we saw what happened. They lost 5 of their 6 states. Only Lagos remained. Osun, Ondo, Ogun, and Oyo State. And even Ekiti. All these 5 were lost. As a result of that, they say, okay, they are supporting Obasanjo then as a president. They lost out. It's only Lagos State that said, no, he is not part of your arrangement. And that was why Tinubu returned. And then, in order not to have then he has to change the face of the party from AD to AC, later to ACN, before they start regrouping, until when they now form a mega party and now become at the central. You can see the logic. Assuming Tinubu then did not calculate well, and he follows suit, how his own people follow, automatically he will have been history by now. So what is going on now within this G5 governors as well? Honestly, I'm scared. If they too will get it right. Although they may end up having some of their senators and what have you, but it's a very clear plus and advantage for the APC as a party.
Now, the crisis is also dividing the public. But however, what should be the conversation before the elections for us as electorates?
Well, to the electorate, I don't think we have a problem if we did not trying to be somehow hiding the truth. Why did I say that? Politicians are businessmen. They are selling their products. It is we, the public, that will now look at this product sincerely. That yes, if I go for this product, this is what I stand to gain. If I go for this product, this is what I stand to gain. And that is why democracy provides alternatives. If you are not going to this, you can vote for that. The public don't have problem here. It's only if these politicians did not manage themselves well, it turns to advantage for one over the other. The public should be the one that will look at. After all, now we have about 4 or 5 parties now that have given us clear alternatives. The ruling APC, they float Tinubu here. The PDP, they float Atiku. The Labour Party, they float Obi. The NMPP, they float Kwankwaso. I think we still have Kola Biola, we have Sowore and what have you. Yeah, but we have this major 4 people that have one time or the other head of these public offices. Atiku was former 5 president. Tinubu has been 2-time governors. The Obi has been 2-time governors. Kwankwaso has been 2-time governors, a minister and what have you. Let Nigerians look at their antecedents and see those can actually drive us to the next level. That is what concerns the public. Right. All this they are bickering, the party both inter and intra-party crisis is never our concern. It is more of in-house thing, and that is how politicians do bring up. It is only the public that we have to be resolute so that they will not bring their own business interest into our own psyche. How are they not bringing their own business interest? Is that at the end of the day, when a party won, they form government, and when they form government, there are political opportunities that are open to them in terms of appointment, in terms of other things, contract and other string benefits for them and their family. Then why will we now die because of their own business thing? Nigeria should look beyond what the politicians are doing now and see how they can be resolute to vote for the right person, so that their business rivalry in terms of party thing will not be our concern.
Well, we hope that electorates are able to learn from this and actually do the right thing. So let's get straight into the final story for today, just before we open up the phone lines. Sokoto residents yesterday refused to collect old Naira notes from customers. It was gathered that most business operators in the state had started rejecting the old Naira notes. Now, it was also gathered that motorcycle operators, also known as Okada, rejected the same notes from their customers. A resident, Atiku Abdurafiu, called on the Central Bank of Nigeria as well as the federal government to find a way to extend the deadline of the old Naira notes in circulation. He explained that as of today, most banks in the state still pay customers with the same old Naira notes. Apart from Sokoto State, I am quite sure, according to research and certain public opinions, that this is the case in most states in the country right now. Residents rejected the old notes. What are the positives, first off, that we can take from that?
Well, let me tell you, I'm not sure the central government, Central Bank of Nigeria, is really serious about this noting thing and this change of Naira notes. You are saying we should bring the old notes to the bank, and the bank are still giving us the old notes. Is that not a double standard? That you are giving 31 and 31 as a deadline, that we should be coming to drop the old notes. Still, when you go to the ATM, it is new notes. Old notes. Then who is fooling who? If the CBN governor is not ready to, he should not put Nigeria into all this kind of hardship and crisis now, adding sort to injury. People will struggle, will have stress in order to get money. When they still want to spend the money, it is stressful. Because we only take Sokoto as a critical example. Maybe they know they have been having the fear that if 31 actually caught up with them, they may not have where to take the money to, at least for these changes and what have you. Then what I expect the central bank by now, you are giving back instruction that the bank should start loading the new notes. And the banks are not loading the new notes. Are you now telling me that the banks are having the new notes, they don't load it? No, you can't eat your cake and have it. I suspect a kind of double standard here. If the Central Bank of Nigeria knows they want the old note and the new note to continue in circulation till maybe next year, let us know. If they are putting a stop to it by 31, they must provide enough new notes into all these banks so that all this nonsense will stop. Because even as at yesterday, there was this one of the cashier in my area that I was asking, are you going to give me new notes? She said, since last 2 weeks he has been going to bank, he has not been even have access to new notes. I said, why? He said, yes, I have to collect that money in old notes. And let me tell you, apart from 2-3 weeks ago, that some of the ATMs in Ilorin here were loading new notes. From that last 2 weeks to now, I've never even been reported that there's a particular one loading new notes. Where are the new notes?
Well, that's the fear of a lot of Nigerians right now. If the deadline stays 31 and people start rejecting the old note, it becomes chaotic because there's scarcity.
That is why.
How do we fix this?
That is why I want to please call on the Central Bank of Nigeria not to cause another crisis for us again in terms of how to spend our money. Because if we are having this issue of security issues that has not allowed people to have rest of mind, you are still bringing the issue of fear over when our money will be become a kind of obsolete items or something, a rejected items again. This thing is too much for Nigeria, and it is high time the federal government, under the president, should look into this matter. At least call on the central bank governor. What are you doing? You are saying you are going to put an end to the old note by 31, and today is 24th. We are still seeing the old notes from the banks. People are still going to the bank and do this old note, and they have been rejecting it in town. Automatically, the federal government need to do something. If the CBN governor is not telling us the truth, I think the federal government that owns that swear by the constitution to protect the interest of Nigeria should be able to call the central bank governor, because central bank governor is an employee, or let's say is an appointee of the president. Let the presidency wade into this matter.
Well, we hope that concerned authorities are able to take the right step into addressing these issues. Well, let's go back to the opinions of the listeners. The first one says, "Good morning, presenter and the guest. I would dance to the tune of the guest. No way it won't affect their party, because those you sacked will do all they could to work against the party. Look at the G5 governors as they are really working with the party." JC Obasun from Offa. He says, "As a matter of fact, we are less concerned about their fight. If they like, they should all break away. All what we pray for is, one, they will pilot the ship of Nigeria to greater heights. And for CBN, many people there need to go and sleep in their house because, okay, they are all..." Well, let's be careful about our choice of words on radio. 09136556952 is the number to call to be a part of the conversation. Hello, good morning. Name and location.
Good morning, Dr. Zil from Cherry School.
Good morning, Dr. Zil. In 30 seconds, share your opinion with us.
All right. I just want you to know that this central bank and federal government, I don't think they are really taking us. They just wake up from their corners and start telling us one policy or the other. Look at this Naira note stuff. How do they expect people to not, for them to actually pay only the new Naira, thereby as we speak? The bank I called yesterday told me that they have not been loading ATM machines because CN said they should load new Naira notes, but the Naira notes, who does that? You are giving a law whereby you are even a law breaker yourself. What are we talking about? So they should wait for more problems, because it is the creators of problems, and they have created it, both CBN and federal government. So they will face it themselves. And for PDP, they should face their problems, and it's going to affect them, because we are even tired of them after 15 years of ruin. We are tired. And then
all right. Thank you so much, Dr. Zil. 09136556952 is the number to call. Please ensure that when you call, you turn on the volume of your radio so we could have proper conversation. 09136556952 is the number to call. Hello, good morning. Oh, well, definitely network. Well, you could also send a message via WhatsApp to 09136556864. We're live on Facebook. Be sure to drop a comment at Diamond 887 FM and YouTube Diamond FM Ilorin. Now, just before we go, what are your last words to people listening concerning the conversations that we've had today?
Please, I want to appeal to the federal government. We have enough on our hand. The issue of fuel crisis, the fear of fuel scarcity is there. The issue of kidnapping and what have you is there. They should not have the issue of the currency thing, these new notes, old notes saga. They should not have it to our problems again. When we are trying to see how we solve this fuel issue, then this God take us away from this kidnapping.
Kindly hold your thoughts, sir. Let's take this call. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Isa from Taiwo.
All right, go on, sir. Kindly turn on the volume of your radio.
Thank you so much. I think the issue of currency, I think we'll be hearing from the central bank and the government. This commercial bank, if they have leader, if the money is not, they should also come to this and address us. Because we are seeing that the problem is coming from them. They also come and address the public that these things are not given unto them. It is not customer by customer. Let them go to the press and also tell us. Please, I also want you to, please, for us to share this issue, let's have the professional from the bank. Let them tell us from your seat here what is actually happening. Not anybody calling anyhow from anywhere the way they see. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you so much for your contribution. Well, like he said, we would look forward to hearing from the commercial banks about the current situation. Because apparently we've heard from the government, we've heard from the central bank. We're waiting to hear from the commercial bank where the problem lies. And you know, as your shining Supreme Station, we'll sure make efforts into getting that answer from you. A big thank you to our guests for honoring our invitation. In the studio with me today was Mr. Sakari L. Lawal Abiodun Yita, who is an educationist, historian, and public affairs analyst. He's also currently the head of history department, Kwara State College of Education. Once again, thank you so much, sir, for honoring our invitation. It's such a delight to have you. Well, that's the size of our package today on the Diamond Breakfast Show, a production of the News and Current Affairs Department. Once again, thank you to our guests for honoring our invitation. My name is Mekamua Osigbodi. A big thank you to everyone working behind the scene, Akobi and Mr. Shegun. Thank you so much for making this work. Right after now is the news in our native dialect, and after that is Ebawa Dasi. Stay tuned to your Shining Supreme station.
This is our promise. We made up our minds to do something new, something different, do more, do the impossible, do better, do big, do good, do it again and again and again.